Before we start, I would like to apologise about my hair. I do need to go to the hairdressers. It has been a very difficult time
And you
in my
look
life.
homeless. Normally I get those comments.
Yeah, well, I just got to live with it, don't I? Just got to get on with it.
Exactly.
Maybe I'll do it myself. Lockdown haircut 2.0.
Man bun.
All that. Anyway, before we get too off topic, today we've decided to talk about Harry Maguire. We thought that kind of taken over the headlines, so we might as well talk about that and get some opinions out more than anything, because we don't really have enough information. I don't think anyone really has enough information on it.
So far, all we really know is that he's on holiday in Mykonos in Greece, right? I want to make sure I've got the right island, because there's so many of those little fucking islands called Mykonos or whatever the fuck. Nikos, Kavos, and so on. And he's basically there with his wife, and he's now been arrested for assault or something.
See, I've seen a load of different stories. One saying someone called him a shit footballer, someone chanting "fuck Man United," and then another one saying someone's assaulted his girlfriend, which is a little bit more understandable to why he would jump in and protect them. But if that is not true, and if the side of someone calling Man United shit and he lost his shit over that has triggered him, I think any person, any Joe Public person is crazy to go and attack someone because their employer has been called shit. And be it he is the captain, don't get me wrong, you are supposed to be quite defensive over those things and, kind of be reactive, but not to the extent that you go and assault someone.
Yeah, definitely. Like it, I'm trying to get myself in the mind of Harry Maguire, right? You've been getting all this shit all year for being this £80 million signing, and people are throwing all of this abuse at you, and you're like, fuck, like this sucks. We've had a shit year. They still haven't made Champions League, I think.
No, they have.
They're fourth.
Third.
See, this is how much I know. This is great because I'm like complete more or less objective on this, because I'm not a Man United fan and I have no dog in this fight whatsoever.
You make a great Man United fan considering you're not from Manchester.
Exactly. There are people that I grew up with in Sussex who support Man U. And you're like, what?
Why do you support them? Oh, because my nan's dog's brother's cousin lives there or something like that. Or stepped foot in Manchester, so I thought, oh yeah, that's the shittest excuse. I hate people who do that. They're like people who live down here and support Liverpool and anything like that. It's like, why do you support them? It's like, my granddad. It's like, what about him? It's like, he was from Liverpool. It's like, right, okay then.
But your dad supports West Ham or someone like that.
Someone like what are you doing? Like Fulham.
Like I had exactly the same thing. The only reason I support West Ham is because my dad supports West Ham. I have an affinity for Brighton because I grew up near there and I like them. Yeah. But West Ham is my team. And my dad supports West Ham, and that's where it's come from.
And I think that's fair enough when someone can justify it properly, that, if it's a local team, if your dad supports it mostly is your dad, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I kind of get that, but people who support teams that are like the other side of the country or the other side of the world, I kind of like, what, why?
You see kids in Singapore supporting Man U.
I kind of get that, because
they're a big team.
It's a globalised sport now, isn't it? Where in Singapore they wouldn't really get football at the same level, and you'd get teams going out there on tour, and that's how they make their money and all that sort of thing. So it kind of makes sense for that. But when you live in a country where football is quite big, and you've got, I don't know, you live in the southeast and you support Liverpool or Man United, or now it's going to be Man City in the next couple of years, it's like, what are you doing? Why don't you support I don't know, Dover United or whoever's in the southeast?
Canterbury.
Have they even got a football team?
Probably not. Well, I don't know. But like, really, really quick, like that's following on from that. There's like some people believe that Liverpool signed that Japanese guy. Who was it? Minamino. Yeah. They believe that they signed Minamino purely because he does well in Asian markets, because he's an Asian player and they can sell more shirts there.
I definitely agree to that. I think when Man United had Ji-sung Park, I don't know if you remember him, about 10, 15
Korean
years ago. He wasn't a bad football player, but he wasn't a Man United quality football player back 15 years ago. So for him to come off the bench every so often would boost their merchandise out in the southeast of Asia. It's the same with Chelsea getting Pulisic, where he is a good footballer. Don't get me wrong; they got good end of the deal from two things, but the reason to why they probably jumped at him rather than going and developing someone from Europe is because they can get merchandise out in the US with him, and he is the face of Chelsea out there, where they love him. He's probably going to be as good as London Donovan and Clint Dempsey, if not even better.
Yeah, at the moment he is the face of the US football team because they don't have anyone else. Dempsey, I think, is, if he's not already retired,
He's there, yeah.
He will be gone by now.
He's got a walking stick next to him.
Exactly. He needs help getting up every time he goes to play. But coming back to Man United and everything, I can conceive of the mind of Harry Maguire, where you've been getting all this shit all year. You're on your holiday, and if someone says some shit to you, you could snap, because you've got to have a strong constitution to put up with all that shit. I'm not saying it's correct if he has gone and assaulted someone for giving him shit, but you can see how he would justify it in his mind.
But to be an elite footballer, you need or an elite athlete, or top of your game wherever you are at. You're always going to get shit, and that's how you get better. This criticism, this really rings a bell with Alvaro Morata, being a Chelsea fan.
Yeah.
He scored goals and he wouldn't celebrate because Chelsea fans used to give him shit, and it's just like that kind of side of things where you're not going to make it. Because he was shipped out back to Spain after a year and a half, 2 years that he was at the club, because he would literally cry when he scored goals, and he'd be like, oh, well, is that not enough? It's like, well, you are going to get shit when you are the striker for such a big team, and there is pressure on you. Yeah, you just have to deal with it. Jorginho used to get shit when he was with Sarri. He came in last year with Lampard, it improved, and he's just not really batted an eye on it. Look at him flourish now.
Yeah.
So I think to be an elite, in this subject, to be an elite footballer, and when you're the captain, you've got to be a role model, because you've got to remember these people are not only showing a way to their colleagues, but they're also elite. Not elite. They're also a role model to young people.
Yeah.
Young people, where you would see. I remember Neymar and a few other players. When they used to die left, right, centre, not that they're not doing that now, but when they die left, right, centre, I worked as a coach at a few football clubs, and kids would go and do the same thing, and it's just disgusting, because you know exactly where they get that from. They would be like, oh yeah, he touched me, so he didn't. He literally nudged you on the shoulder, and you went flying like someone shot you in the arse. What the hell was going on?
Shot you in the arse.
Do you get what I mean? It's just a little bit too dramatic.
Yeah.
And it's the same with, this is probably extreme, I don't think this has probably happened, but Suarez biting players. Why did Liverpool ship him out? Because of that role model aspect, where he was a brilliant football player, but they couldn't have him as the front page, the face of Liverpool, when he was flipping biting players left, right and centre. So there's that aspect of you're representing an employer, which is a very big employer with Man United and their commercial deals all around the world. They're probably one of the biggest still, even though they're not the best football teams. You're going to have some responsibility no matter who you are and what you do. Just fucking get a grip.
Exactly. I can't argue against that at all. It makes no sense. But there are other reports coming out that supposedly his wife or partner was assaulted, and that he was stepping in to
which is a completely different situation.
Exactly, yeah. So if that is the case, then I would back him almost completely. If anything, that would make me support him more, because you know that if there's a tough situation in a game, you know that he's going to step up and back you.
Yeah.
No matter, as the captain, that's what you want as a captain.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Eric Dyer had that similar situation where he still had crowds earlier on in the season. Where his brother was confronted or something like that, and he went up into the stands and told that guy to go do one or whatever it was, where it probably shouldn't have happened from a perspective of being an elite athlete and being that role model. But from a personal point of view, you can't understand why he did that.
Yeah.
Because putting myself into that position, I would probably go and stand up for my siblings if they got picked on by some idiot.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like it's a situation that needs to be clarified, and I can't wait for it to be clarified because, of course, being a Chelsea fan and the rivalry between Chelsea and Man United over the course of the last year and a bit, where people comparing Solskjaer and Lampard and they're saying, oh, one's better than the other. It's really intensified the rivalry between the two teams. So I would like to have some shithousery from their end of things for my entertainment.
Just something to throw back at Man United fans. Your captain bottled it.
Your captain is, well, I mean, he's pleaded not guilty at the moment, so there's clearly something that he stands by, so I can't imagine something would really erupt out of it. But have you heard? His bail was put up for €5,000,
All right.
and Man United refused to pay it. So they just said, we'll give you Lingard and Jones for free.
For all eternity, the Greeks can have them.
Just get out of our club.
How long is Lingard meant to be at Man United till?
I don't know, but there's that meme, isn't there, that he's still like 19. He's got great potential.
Yeah.
When he's like 27 now, 26 or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. He's coming to not the end of his career, but like he's in his prime almost.
He's been, I mean, it's really bad to say, but he's been one of those players who have been overhyped by the British media. Never really lived up to that hype that he got given. Just like Luke Shaw, where, I don't know if you remember how many years ago, it's probably more towards 2014, 2013, when Man United just bought him and he was supposed to be the next big thing after Ashley Cole left back. Had a few injuries, never really came out of his shell. And I think that's one of the problems with footballers in Britain, where they have an injury, they don't come back from it as well as they would have, as they were before, and it's just they're just not really the same player with the same confidence, because I think the actual skill is always going to be there, but confidence is such a big issue in football, where you'll take someone on and that will happen, whereas if you don't have the confidence, you'll think, oh, sod it, I'll turn back and pass it back, where that will make you stand out more than passing it back and taking the easy option out. So gone off a little bit off topic, but what I was trying to say is
Is Lingard's a shit footballer?
Lingard hasn't lived up to it, and it's really unfortunate, because I wouldn't ever wish it. Doesn't matter if it's a player that I like from a team that I support or not, but I just think it's one of those things that you're not going to be doing forever as a footballer, so you might as well flourish at it when you can, and entertain the likes of me who can't go out there and play at the level that you can.
And your earning potential as a footballer is, your window to earn money is so small. Like you've got up until, if you're doing well, you'll do in up to your 30s potentially. That's at a high level, and there are very few people who are able to maintain it. Typically, you'll retire, I think, mid to late 20s. So Lingard's already doing very well in that aspect, and when you have that opportunity, surely you should just want to maximise it. And it doesn't seem like he's really done that. Yeah, he's played for England, and he's done well for us in a World Cup. But what has he won with Man United?
Well, Man United haven't won a trophy for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
So
that says a lot.
Yeah. Before that, it would have been Mourinho, I think, where he would have won the Europa League or something like that, the FA Cup.
I was going to say FA Cup, surely, with Van Gaal.
That too. But anyway, what you're saying, I don't think specifics really matter in the situation, but he hasn't really done something that's made him stood out. Like, we, of course, this is a bit extreme comparison, but Ronaldo, in his, I was going to say teenage years, but in his younger years at Man United, he won the Champions League, and be it he missed the penalty in the final, and it was a very lucky win for them, coming from a Chelsea fan and just a neutral fan. It was lucky, wasn't it, where Chelsea hit the post like 3 times and whatnot.
John Terry with the conversion.
But he's won the Premier League. He had a better team around him, which probably helped. He didn't have the managerial instability that Man United had over the last few years. Now they're a little bit more stable, but all I'm trying to say is all these factors